What's up, gents? Dirtbag Gaming here, the channel for casual raiders. We are doing a special video today going over kind of like a how-to Lydia or how to beat Faction Wars. So there's so many Faction Wars videos on YouTube now. So if you clicked on this one, stay tuned because I'm going to give you my insight on how to make it easier for yourself. Kind of tips, tricks, and like what really worked for me to get Lydia in Raid Shadow Legends. So they keep nerfing Faction Wars. I really feel like they're focusing on Doom Tower, kind of making Doom Tower really endgame content, making it harder and harder. But if you get Lydia, it makes things a lot easier in Doom Tower. Like, trust me, she is amazing for Doom Tower. But first, we have to get her. So a lot of you guys, if you're newer to the game, if you're middle to the game, you're going to kind of have to get those champions or get the gear to kind of have it actually work for you in Faction Wars. But again, using these tips to get up to that point is definitely going to help you out. So hopefully this video is going to help you guys. Hopefully it's going to find you well. Hit the subscribe so that videos actually pop up for you guys. We just hit 150 videos, over 500 subscribers, so we definitely are putting the work. So guys, appreciate you, Dirtbag Nation, and my fellow Dirtbags. So let's get into it. So I have a whole guide here. It's gonna be a little bit longer video, so stay tuned for literally everything we're gonna go over. We have 5 stars versus 6 stars, studying videos, gear swapping, masteries, last boss, and plan ahead / gear sets. So we're going over all that in this video. So again, it's gonna be a little bit longer video, but we're gonna go over a lot to kind of give you my suggestion on how to get Lydia. All right, so let's first start off right at the top. When you're going through Faction Wars, there's going to be so many champions. Like every month we get new champions added to the game, but there's just so many champions to choose from. Now, when you look how many epics. Like when you're going through the champions, you have to kind of really see who's going to be really end game viable and who's not going to be end game viable. I don't like wasting 6 stars or doing, you know, all this farming just for Faction Wars. Like, it's such a waste. If you watch any of my Faction Wars videos, most of them have 50s in it and non-legendaries, right? The only ones that I had to do legendaries for were like I guess this one we have a bunch of legendaries, but we didn't use him, we didn't use him, and then these guys were like interchangeable. Like, you could swap these guys out, but the goal of tip number 1 is to save 50 as long as possible. And what I mean by that is use your 5 stars for as long as you possibly can. And again, what I mean by that is most of the people that I used in Faction Wars, if I weren't going to use them late game, like, I guess who's a great example, like Bad L. Obviously, you're going to 6-star Bad L. But if I had somebody like, let's go to my 5 stars. Here's a whole bunch of them. Killian the Lucky, not using them late game. Her right now, great character, but not using her late game. Her, I had Trunda, didn't really need her, but you can use her instead of Trunda. Wrath right here, didn't need her to 6-star. Shaman didn't need 6-star. Him didn't need 6-star, didn't need 6-star. Having 2 miscreated monsters didn't need a 6-star. Him didn't need it. So like, all these examples are 50s that I don't use every single day, but all these people right here I've used in Faction Wars. Especially her. We actually have a video of her, which we just have really good gear on her, and she could be used late game. He could definitely be used. Him can be used late game. Armiger, obviously, he's my second Armiger. But Armiger, you're going to level to 60 because you're going to use him late game. But all these people, again, 50s, because we don't need to level them to 60 to complete Faction Wars. So that is my first tip, is keep 50 as long as possible until you're ready to push stage 21. So if you can do at level 50 at stage 20 and you're good and you can farm that, don't level to 60 yet. Wait till you're actually pushing stage 21s to level your 60. Because if you're wasting all this effort to get one Faction Wars done, and there's so many Faction Wars to complete, you're wasting your time. You're literally pulling your hair out, and you're going to hate Faction Wars because you're just not ready to do all of Faction Wars 21. I did all of Faction Wars 21 in probably a month. But it took me a year to save up to get to that point, right? It probably doesn't have to take that long if you're watching all these videos, but that was my example, was I didn't actually push Faction Wars 21 bosses until I was ready to do it, right? So that's my second tip, is really kind of just be patient, right? So being patient is going to help so long with you guys. Just crossing off my list. But being patient, meaning that you're not going to push all Faction Wars 21, especially if you're middle to newer of the game, you might get up to one stage like Hyle's Faction Wars, because once you get Arbiter, it kind of makes things a lot easier. Anytime you have a Reser in the faction, those are going to be the ones you're going to focus on first. Shaman is a great example. She's a Reser for the Orcs, but she's not level 60 for me. She's level 50 still, but she can res and help you push your way through Orcs. Like if you invest in Zargala or Seer or any of these Orc people, you can use them to do a crap ton of DPS and res them if they die, and then boom, you got Faction Wars. But the goal is to get up to Faction Wars 20. If all of you guys can get up to Faction Wars 20, you're good. Then you can start really focusing on getting some 60s that you need, key pieces that you need, key roles that you need to suffice to actually get that Faction Wars clan boss or boss down at stage 21 to complete it, 3-star, and then move on. Never have to do it ever again. All right. And I guess a great example is Faceless. A lot of people are saying that you need Faceless, unless you have like Hegemon or something, but you need Faceless to complete that Faction Wars 21. We even had Rector Draft, a Reser, and a very, very good healer. We kept her at 50 because I was able to get a level 60 Faceless up, but I haven't used him since. Literally got him to 60, haven't used him since, only for stage 20 Faction Wars, and that's it. Like, he's a great example of somebody that you have to have, for me and a lot of other people, to complete Faction Wars 21. All right, but I kept him at 50 as long as I possibly could, and I just couldn't do it. I had to level up to 60. All right, so again, patience is key number 2. Is just take your time, focus on getting up to level 20, and then once you get up to 20 on everybody, then you can start focusing on specific factions that have Resers first, and then continue. Let's go over to our Faction Wars, and I'll give you kind of how the order that I actually went into with all of the factions. So Faction Wars, High Elves was first. We had Arbiter, so we were able to kind of do High Elves pretty easily. The next one that was pretty easy for us was Barbarian, because we had Sile. So Sile, amazing champion. We were able to 2-man Barbarians with Sile and Alton. So that's a pretty funny video. The next one we were able to do pretty easily was Undead. Gorgorab, again, another champion that was able to kind of res everybody and just be super tanky. That was also pretty easy. So Undead and Lizardmen. Lizardmen, we had Draco early on. We had Rosin. Rosin's a freaking amazing champion. And then also there's a couple of rares in there that you can bring that make it really easy. There's also a rare Reser in Lizardmen that a lot of people can get, level up to 50 and kind of run them at 50. But those are the main ones we did that we just literally kept farming until like we were blue in the face, that we were able to just kind of keep farming. Literally all the other ones we had to wait till we had some good champions that could res or tank or do their specific roles that we can actually do it. So that's kind of how long it took me. We only did 1, 2, 3, 4 out of like all these other ones, right? So it took a while. All right, so my next tip, let's get into it, is study. Watch these videos, watch my videos, watch other people's videos. I want to give a shout out to the one guy who goes over specific bosses. It's him and another dude. If you guys could help me out, I'm doing really bad a job at this. But it's 2 images of 2 people talking, going over specifically the bosses that are in each faction. Those videos helped me out so much, explaining what the boss does, right? And then my videos kind of simplify it and what champions you need that you can keep at 50, that you don't need masteries on. And that way you can actually clear it at stage 21 with the specific gear that you can actually use. So my next tip is really just to study, like really figure out what you need to do and get there. Because if you're watching these videos at Faction Wars 21 and there's specific champions you need and you don't have yet, don't focus on that Faction Wars 21. Skip to the next one. Like just do level 20 and just focus on that for a while and then go to the next one. I guess a great example is the one that has 3 Valkyries in it. That might have been Knight's Revenant. I think Knight's Revenant is the one faceless. So if you can't do the 3 Valkyries, don't even think about it. Like just literally take your time. Don't do that one. But watch the videos to know what the bosses do, know what you're aiming for. Because if you go into Faction Wars 21, like Faction Wars 20 is easy for you, and then you go into Faction Wars 21 with the wrong team, like you wasted all that time and effort focusing on those other guys, it's gonna suck. Like you're literally gonna get there and you're gonna be like, all my guys died. Yeah, because you didn't know that you had to stun the right ad or block revive the right ad that you will never need ever again in all of your other games. But you need that one champion to do it, and then it's easy mode. No, if you would have studied or did that beforehand, you would have like leveled a guy up to 50 or 60 before you went into that, and boom, it would have been super easy. You wouldn't have wasted all of your energy or stuff on a champion that you're never going to use again in your life. I guess Skinwalkers would be a good example. Faye, I leveled her up to 50. Terrible in Faction Wars, like just dies super easy. Could not do it. These two guys, I probably will never use ever again in Raid besides Faction Wars, but they are good in Faction Wars. And then Basher, actually, Yaga, I leveled him up starting off in Faction Wars, and such a bad idea, not good. And then Taurus would have been really good if I knew to level him sooner, but did it before that. I don't have Rain Beast, but Rain Beast is also good. So leveling up these guys and knowing that you're never going to use them ever again is such a waste. And if I wish about Greyhorn and Gnarlhorn. Gnarlhorn's a great guy that could be used in endgame, especially Doom Tower, like kind of using as a tank and provoke on everybody. Like, he's so good. But if we knew that we can use him early on and kind of use that from stage 1 to stage 20, I'd 100% would have invested him sooner, but I didn't do my research. I kind of just went into it and just leveled all the best champs I had, which at that time was like Yaga. He was like the best Skinwalker I had. So bad investment, but that's the other tip, is do some research on what guys are using in endgame. Like if you watch any of the YouTube guys, they've already done the research for you. So if you literally watch them, they've watched a ton of videos and then they made their own videos and kind of gave their insight, like myself, on what actually works. Like what works, what's hard to get, what's not hard to get. You see these whales that are doing like all legendaries. It's like, don't watch those videos. Only watch the videos that are like normal people that can do normal gear, that can actually, you know, get to the Faction Wars 21. So that's my next tip, is watch a lot of videos and study. All right. So next one, gear swapping. Gear swapping is really the main thing that is going to help you out preparing to get to Faction Wars 21. And what I mean, let's go over it. So here's an example, Lydia. All this gear, obviously I didn't have Lydia at the time, but all this gear was swapped probably 4 or 5 times in, maybe more than that actually, like 4 or 5 different champions just kept swapping their gears all the way around. All right. So what you need for that, obviously you're pushing Faction Wars 21, so you don't really care about all the other Faction Wars, right? You mainly care about Clan Boss every single day, you care about PvP every single day, and you care about, that's it, Clan Boss and PvP. Those are the champs you really don't want to change that much, but all the other ones that you have Faction Wars that you're kind of swapping out all the time, those are the ones you can change. If you have Sile the Drakes, she's in a stun set, amazing in a stun set, but very good in Relentless as well. If you have a very, very good stun set on Sile, and Sile is only used in dungeons for you or PvP, I don't know if she's going to be used for Clan Boss for you, but you can take off all the gear from Sile, because she probably has a really good set, and put that stun set gear on somebody else that you're trying to focus on, like another AoE champion. Like let's say you run Basher, right? If you put Basher in a really good stun set for your Skinwalkers, he's going to be amazing for you. But you basically just rotated it to Basher. You complete Faction Wars 21. Now Skinwalkers is done. You can take that gear off of Basher and move it to Bellower. Now Bellower has a great stun set that you just took off your best champion Sile, and you put it on another Ogryn Tribe, you know, champion that has an AoE like Bellower, and now he's able to kind of help you with a stun set in Faction Wars 21. Now, pause, because you're not doing this until you're ready for Faction Wars 21. Like, you're not going to do this just to get up to the Faction Wars 20. You don't really care about Faction Wars 20. You just care about being ready to complete Faction Wars 21 and then swapping the gear. All right? Don't swap it just to complete Faction Wars 20. Like, because then you're going to take off that gear off again, and you're not going to be able to farm Faction Wars 20. Like, that's not the point of swapping gear. Plus, it costs a lot of silver. All right. So let's go back to our Faction Wars map. And if I was planning ahead, and I know that in 3 days my demon spawn is going to open up, and I have a couple people in demon spawn that are AoEs, right? Prince Kaimar, bad example, but he's a legendary AoE champion. If I know in 3 days I'm at Faction Wars 20, and I know I'm ready for Faction Wars 21 because I have the specific champions, I'm going to save up a crap ton of silver. So that way, once that opens up, I'm going to take all the best gear off of a lot of my champions, and I'm going to put the best gear on my demon spawn champions, and now I'm ready to complete Faction Wars 21 for Demon Spawn. That is what I did for all of the Faction Wars. So a lot of times in my vault, you'll see some level 50s still have pretty good gear on them because I kind of like just swapped them. But let's go through some people. So Slanesha missing some gear, Caden missing some gear. Who else is really good that we used? Stagnite, swapped some gear on him. He had some different gear. Who else? Killian had like my best Relentless set I possibly could, but he doesn't have any gear anymore. He was taking off some gear. She had some really good gear. Rector Drath had really, really good gear. Now she's kind of just had stuff like for, Faction Wars 20. She had really good gear. He had, really good gear. He had probably my best gear. This new Rezer had literally my best healing gear on the account. Same with Vrask. Like Vrask had a really good shield set that was on my Skull Now, Vargal. So Skull who has like my main shield set, was on Vrask for completing Orcs Faction Wars. He was different because he has a ice set, which nobody has ice set, so he probably is the only ice set on my account. But he had really good shield set gear, but we rotated it from Orcs to Lizard Men. He had really good healing gear. Noahorn had really good gear. So again, all these guys are examples of just, like, these are just kind of all leftovers. But all these guys are examples that just swapping gear out to complete Faction Wars 21. Who else was really good? We use still currently, but not really where we want, like kind of like a revive DPS set. Who else? We used him for a little bit. He had pretty good gear. We used him in the Undead to get up to Faction Wars 20 until we got Bad L. And I think, did we have any 40? I don't know if we had any 40s, but we had him for a while. 2 Lightsworn. We had him in Orcs for a little bit. Yeah, so that's an example of like getting people up to 50 and using them as best as possible by swapping the gear out. So you might see level 50 with literally no masteries, but they do their job and they do a really, really good job at it because they have really good gear. So this is an example of the shield. So this shield has 27 speed. That shield saw at least 10 different champions. That shield got around and finally landed on Lydia, who was my best champion now, so that way she has the best gear. But just look at this gear. This gear rotated. This gear rotated. This gear rotated. Like, it's all just so much speed, like really, really good stats. But if you get one set, I guess we'll go into the next thing, gear swapping. But if you go into one good set of like each set and rotate it, that's kind of what you're going to be aiming for. So Relentless, if you have Relentless set, like if you're doing Faction Wars, you probably have a couple sets of Relentless because you've done a bunch of tournaments from now, till you complete Faction Wars. But you want a really, really good Relentless set, if not 2 Relentless sets, like really, really good that you can rotate between champions. You want a really good lifesteal sets. A couple of my dwarfs had lifesteal, so that way they were able to last a little bit longer, but lifesteal set is a great set for Faction Wars. So if you have like 2 or 3 lifesteal sets, that's going to push you very, very far in Faction Wars. Another great set is shield set. I think I have 2 really, really good shield sets that we rotated for people that have a lot of HP. You only want to put shield sets on people that you're really focusing on boosting out their HP by a ton. That way when they're going through each wave, they have a shield on them for 3 turns. That's going to take a lot to get it off. So shield set, 1 really good one, but 2 good shield sets are going to be able to be good for you rotating through Faction Wars. Again, Relentless set, very, very good to have. Destroy sets more for Doom Tower, but stun sets. As many stun sets as you possibly could get, that's gonna help you a lot in Faction Wars. Mainly 1 good AoEer should always have a stun set in Faction Wars for you, but 2 would be easier, right? So people that have stuns as skills, like Sile, one of her skill has attacks all enemies 2 times, has a chance to stun, and she has a stun set. So literally she attacks all enemies twice on a 3-turn cooldown and has 2 chances per attack to stun somebody. That's a great person to put a stun set on. She also has an A1 that decreases speed, so also has a chance to stun because of the stun set. But another person would be somebody like Sinesha. Sinesha has an AoE A1, great for a stun set. Everybody that is AoE, like Sylar, amazing in a stun set. Right, but now we're getting to the legendaries. But like people that have AoEs, Zargala might even be good with a sunset, but you probably don't want to do a sunset with Zargala. You could, it's an option. Miscreated Monster, an HP stun set would be cool. I actually put a stun set on Stag Knight. And why I did that was because in one of the bosses, you need to focus down the right ad. So he has an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown that decreases defense and attack, which is amazing. And he has a chance to stun with that with a stun set. Then he's got an A1 that has decreased speed, almost like Sile, like same thing, which has a chance to stun. So if you can control the right ad in that Faction Wars, you basically, it's easy, it's game over. So having somebody that really just controls that with a sunset, like Stag Knight, great example that you can put Stag Knight or a sunset on Stag Knight, and Faction Wars then becomes easy for that stage. AoEs like Prince Kaimar stun sets, like they still have stun sets on them. Here's a different one. We're gonna actually do a video on Trunda with stun, but she has skills that stun people. So attacks one enemy, then attacks all enemies with the second hit. That's not the stun. This is the stun one. So attacks all enemies, has a 70% chance of placing a stun. That is a huge percentage chance of placing a stun. And HP burn as well for people who do get stunned. So if you have somebody like her that actually stuns on an A1 as well, if you have somebody like her, you don't necessarily need a stun set. Like with dwarves, I did it with just her. There was no stun set. It literally was just her stunning people. Another example would be Basilisk Ronis. Basilisk Ronis has an AoE stun. He's another person that could literally stun every 4 turns the enemy champions. But yeah, so anybody that can stun is going to help you get through Faction Wars a lot easier. Any wave that has 3 Valkyries, you're gonna want to control the crap out of the waves by stunning them, decreasing turn meter, slowing them down. Like stun sets are literally key with that. All right, so that's the stun set. Let's go over some more artifacts. All right, so we got the stun set, very, very good. Have at least 2 good sets so you can rotate between your people. What else might be good? Immortal sets. So I think I had 1 or 2 immortal sets that were very good at rotating. And these are probably the easiest ones to get from the clan boss because you're going to be getting them every single day. But immortal sets are very, very good for healers, for people that don't want to get hit, because it gives you 15% extra HP and heals yourself 3% per 2-piece artifact set. So immortal sets are very good to have a really good 2 or 3 sets that you can rotate between people. All right. So another great set that you want to invest into. All these other ones are kind of like niche, like really depending on where you're at. This is another good set that I had a lot of good pieces in, was Resilience. You can actually forge these, so you can kind of customize them, and like if you need ones with a lot more HP, get the HP glyph, speed glyph, whatever it may be. But I actually rotated a bunch with these, like very, very good sets with, like there's so many that you can keep with this. I have to actually get rid of some of these. Persistence, another very, very good new set. Plus 40 accuracy and 5 speed, which is huge when you're trying to go fast in Faction Wars. So another very, very good set to invest into that you can rotate between your people. And it's really, like, not a lot of times you're going to run into Faction Wars with just all attack people. Like most of the time it doesn't work if you're just going straight attack. A great example would be Cardinal team. So with Sacred Order, my Sacred Order was Cardinal, Lightsworn, Fennex, and like Errol. So a lot of attack champions, but I just made Cardinal as super tanky as possible, so that way attack champions can just do their thing, die, and then Cardinal just resin back up and then goes into it again. So that's a weird example, but most of the time you're not going to have attack champions push your way through Faction Wars. It's going to be super tanky attack champions or people with stun sets that are going to help you out. Like if I had Krayla Witch Arm, she's an attack-based champion, but she has like HP chest piece, crit rate gloves with HP substats, like a lot of HP stats to kind of keep her alive. She's not really solely focused on doing damage like she would be in arena, but she's going to be focused on staying alive and having excess damage go in for the counterattack that she has for her skill. Another example is Sile. Sile is really there just to control everybody. So she decreases the turn meter, she decreases speed, and she has a chance to stun on all of her attacks. So that's why she's in a stun set with accuracy, but she has like defensive on the chest piece, HP on the gloves. So that's another example of an attack type champion that is good for controlling, right? So, and Zargala, another great example, HP on the chest piece, just to survive a little bit longer. Maybe like HP and defensive on the ring, maybe HP defensive on the banner. Like this is what you're gonna have to do to kind of get to the Faction Wars 21 and complete it. You know, so making sure that you can rotate good gear between these people, and then you should be good to go. Next, masteries. So if you don't want to kill yourself by doing all of the masteries, let's see how many people don't have masteries. All right. So let's start at the top. Some of these, like, they're really good in PvP, so that's why they have masteries. But if we go into, I use these guys for Doom Tower. There you go. So level 60, no masteries, we're able to complete. Her, no masteries. Slanesha, no masteries. Kaden, I use a lot of places. We gotta get to our 50s. We're at 50. All right, so here you go. No masteries, no masteries, no masteries, no masteries, no masteries. Shaman, no masteries. Like they just have basic masteries. Like you can get these in one run of Minotaur, 1 or 2 runs. This one, no masteries. She had literally no masteries. Never using her ever again. Once I found out she's good. Like trust me, she's good. It's just for me, she has to survive last to do anything. All right, but she's good. Just not for me. Fane, no masteries. Shieldbreaker, no masteries. Varas, no masteries. Like all these people, literally no masteries. But we use them in Faction Wars 21. No masteries, no masteries, no masteries, no masteries. So here's a great example of what you can do in Faction Wars 21 without killing yourself with all the masteries. Like you might see these videos of people showing you who they're using and then they go over the masteries. But if they do the masteries, it's because they're whales. No, I'm just kidding. It's because they maybe use them later on. Maybe they bought the masteries. I don't know the story, but a lot of my champions that I use, even Iron Brago, no masteries, but a lot of champions that I used in Faction Wars 21 did not have any masteries. So only level masteries are people that you're going to use late game, like that you know you're going to use later on down the road. Like a Cold Heart, 100% you want a mastery. Gorgrab, I didn't have any masters. There's literally no masters. Seeker, no masters. Right? So these champions that this guy will use in Clan Boss, but people that I still use late game, of course they're gonna have masteries on it, right? But people that I mean, this is a bad example, but Gurgarab, I got him after I got Arbiter. You don't need the masteries for Faction Wars 21 unless specifically you're gonna use them late game, right? No masteries, but a great champion. So that's another thing with masteries. Save off until you actually need the masteries, and that could take what, a day, couple runs, maybe 3 resets, 4 resets of your brews, and then you're good to go with all the masteries for one of your champions. If you watch my Bellower video, he can actually solo the Minotaur for you and level up your champions at the same time. So go check out that video, hit the subscribe. But masteries, only get them if you really need them. Right, so I guess a great example is her. Where is she? Her. We used her level 50, really good gear, finished Faction Wars, healed up when we needed to heal up, but no masters. Right, only the top 5 masteries we got. But now she's in my vault. Now she's literally a vault guardian. Narhorn, great endgame type character, great for Faction Wars. Vault guardian. This guy, another great champion, Vault Guardian. Warmane, Vault Guardian. Right, so all these people, like Warmane, you might need earlier on, so you might want to level up her masteries. But all these other people, Faction Wars, that's it. All right, so there you go. We'll cross masteries off of our list. Don't need masteries unless you really want to use them late game. All right, so that's my next tip. Last boss. So we kind of already touched on this before, but the last boss should only be focused on when you're ready. Get all of your faction wars, unless you can finish the faction wars 21. Do it. Like don't not do it. Like do it, get the reward, and then never have to do it again. Like same with like high elves. Like I did high elves first, and I just like kept farming faction wars 21 because you don't need to farm 21. You only need to farm 20. So all you have to do is farm 20, complete faction wars 21 once, and then farm 20. That's all you have to do. But don't get to the last boss until you're ready. All right. And then we already went over how to prepare for that by seeing what's coming up, rotating the gear, making sure you have enough silver. We didn't really touch on that yet, but have at least 6 million silver before you go to focus on that faction wars, because there might be some gear that you really need to level up to 16 to really focus on that. But if you don't have 6 million silver to complete that faction wars 21 stage, wait till you have at least 6 million silver to really focus on that stage. Because what if you swap your gear? Like what if you swap all of your gear? That's like at least 600,000 per guy, 5 guys. That's 3 million silver just to swap all the best gear. Now you don't usually have to swap all of the gear, but still, like it's going to cost you a lot of silver. So that's another thing, is preparing for the last stage. If you have enough silver and you have the right gear, sometimes you might have to swap or rotate gear. Now we have the trying on thing where you can try on the gear before you swap it, which is huge. I didn't have that when I was going through this, so I wasted a lot of silver. But before you swap, make sure that you have the silver to level it up if you have to. Like if you have to level up a piece that you're missing in that set, now you can level up to at least 12 and try it with 12, and then level up to 16 if you have to. That's why I always suggest at least 6 million silver to do that before you focus on faction wars 21. All right, so that's the last boss. We already went over plan ahead and also gear sets. All right, so basically, I think the biggest thing that I learned is rotating the gear is going to help out so much with the faction wars. It really just helped out with me because mainly healers. Like healers, a lot of my healers that I have in my vault now are level 50. Because really, you don't need them to do damage. That's why not a lot of them have masteries. But a lot of these like level 50 healers, like great freaking healer, had really good gear, like almost 50. Like I did a guide on her, 50, 60,000 HP at level 50. Same with Rector Drath, really good gear, had like 50, 60,000 HP. Same with him, her, this guy, her, him. And I guess that's it for now, but all these healers are still level 50, no masteries, but they had really good gear that we rotated to complete it. And then once we completed, we checked it off our list. We never had to do it again. We took that best gear off and we put it back on the champions that were using it every single day. Yes, him, he's got 94,000 HP, so he would be a great set that you can rotate. Trunda, not a great example because we don't really rotate that gear, but the shield set, great set to rotate. He had a really good mortal set and accuracy set that we rotated, and obviously we already went over her relentless set that we rotated, but just really good sets that you're rotating. That's the biggest suggestion that I would have, is make sure that you're not wasting leveling up all this gear that you have in your vault and wasting so much silver to gear out each person specifically. Like just literally take it off for a day, put it on somebody else, complete faction wars 21, take it off, put it on somebody else, complete that faction wars 21, and then literally just keep doing that until you're done. But have patience, because you're not going to do it all in a day. It's going to take time. It's going to take at least a week to even open up all the different faction wars, but plan ahead. So guys, I guess we'll run down the list one more time. We got 5-star heroes for as long as you possibly can. Study, watch videos. The videos that you are watching, they've already studied for you, including myself. Gear swapping. Mastery is not needed until you actually need them in late game. So hold off to them until you actually crucially need them. If you need them for like the first couple masteries, 100% do it. The first couple masteries are great. Like we have 5 crit, 10 crit damage, 10 accuracy, 20 accuracy there. Like these couple, do it. Doesn't take that long. Like what, 28 energy? you know, not that much. But masteries, hold off for tier 6 masteries. Most of the level 50s can't even get tier 6 masteries, so it's literally just a waste. Last boss, don't do last boss until you're actually ready to do the last boss. Plan ahead on what the bosses do, on what you want to aim for, what gear sets are going to be good for each faction. Plan ahead and gear sets on which ones you want to use. So go through the gear sets, make some really good gear sets, and kind of have those to rotate between your champions. And guys, that is my how to beat Faction Wars. Please let me know what you thought about this, if this helped you out, if these tips were like, yes, I knew that already, or dirtbag, there's no way I can do that. Take your time, be patient, right? You're not going to get Lydia being a newer player. Arbiter is a little bit different because there's so many videos on how to get Arbiter, but Lydia, you need to really hunker down, focus, spend a lot of silver, but you can do it free to play. Or a low spender. You know, I'm a low spender. Lately, not so much. But when I first started, the first year and a half, I've been a little bit low spender until I started the YouTube channel. But still, you can get Lydia with these tips that I gave to you. So guys, I appreciate you. Thank you, Dirtbag Nation. Thank you, fellow Dirtbags, for supporting me. If you want to join the Dirtbag Nation, click the subscribe, join the Discord. We give away account takeovers for free, hence free. I love doing it, love posting the videos, love helping all my other dirtbags out. But guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Good luck with everything. Let me know in the comments what you guys need help with or what you liked about the video. I will take that and I'll use that for the next video. But guys, good luck. Let's go dirtbags.